Hi everyone and welcome back to a new video. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's so good to see you again. I'm so sorry for my absence. My brain has been very scrambled as of late and I just thought it was better just to not film anything and just kind of take a step back. Today is obviously Monday the 11th, and you're currently watching this and this is up a day late. My usual upload days will always be Sunday. This is just the second one I've done on Monday because I really wanted to get a video up for you. I just want to apologise briefly for the light. It is like 3:30 in the afternoon. I tried to film this earlier but my camera died on me. It's also school time, so it's going to be a lot of cars up and down the road. And I have a full house, so if you hear any noise, that is why. Also, my bed is extra rickety today, so yay. As you can tell by the title of this video, we are talking about magic hours in Disneyland Paris, and I'm wearing my Disneyland California Spirit jersey, as it is a year since I went to California, which is insane and incredible, and I don't know how to feel about it. So yes, so today we're going to talk about Disneyland Paris. Now, magic hours, if you don't know, is between 8:30 and 9:30 in the mornings, and it's for hotel guests and annual pass holders. If you have day tickets, I believe that you cannot get it. You can only be allowed in the park from 9:30 onwards, ready for the park opening, like mass opening, so like the whole park's open from 10. It's the same for Walt Disney Studios as well. So I'm going to be talking about both Walt Disney Studios and both Disneyland Park today, but most of my knowledge is from Disneyland Park because I tend to go in there during early hours. I only really go to Walt Disney Studios in the afternoons or certain mornings, but I always do magic hours first in Disneyland Park and then go to Studios. So I've never really done Studios in the morning. This is only from knowledge from what I've read or from what I've seen on the app or what I've kind of gathered information of. So I'm going to do my best for you. Anything I mention in this video I will leave a link down below for you. And so without further ado, let's get into my top 5 tips for making the most of your magic hours in Disneyland Paris. So I have my Ravenclaw notebook as per usual, so if I'm looking down a lot, that is why. So top tip number 1, choose the busiest attractions. So if you're in the Walt Disney Studios, I don't necessarily know what rides are open. I do believe that Ratatouille is usually open, Crush's Coaster is usually open, Rock'n'Roller Roller Coaster, that's a mouthful, isn't it? That's usually open. I don't know if Tower of Terror is. I feel like sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, but that's in Studios. And in Disneyland Park you'll usually, if there's no closures, you'll have Buzz Lightyear in Discoveryland, you'll have in Fantasyland, you'll have Princess Pavilion, which I know technically is not a ride but it is a meet and greet. You'll have the Manhattan Teacups, the Carousel, Dumbo and Peter Pan's Flight. If there's any more there might be more, there might not be. So for instance, if Dumbo's closed, usually they'll open up Pinocchio in Fantasyland, and I think if Buzz is closed, they sometimes open up Orbitron instead. The same in the Studios. If one's closed, they'll usually open up a different ride instead. Not as much in Studios, but they will open up a different one. Always do the busiest attractions first. For instance, if you're going to do one, do Peter Pan's Flight in the morning. That's the one. And Buzz. Those are two I can highly recommend doing in the morning. Buzz isn't really a priority in my family, so whenever we go to Disney we either not do it, like I did in May 2018 with my mum. We didn't do it at all, but in October 2017 I believe that we did do it. I can't remember if it was that time or the time before where the ride actually broke down and we ended up going I think later or a different day, but the queue is always long during the day. So if you can go through magic hours, do it then, because you're gonna just like have a weight lifted off your mind going, I've done this ride that I really want to do. I can go about my day and just kind of focus on all the other rides. Peter Pan Flight, like I said, you can get fast passes, I believe. Buzz, I don't know if it's a fast pass ride. I don't believe it is. It might be. Is it a fast? Oh, I think it might be a fast pass. I don't know. I'll have that leave down below for you. I'll double check if it's a fast pass ride for you. But Peter Pan's Flight is definitely a fast pass ride. The fast passes do go quickly, and the queue time throughout the day is usually about an hour and a half on average. If you go first thing in the morning for the magic hours, I can tell you the longest I've queued is 20 minutes. I have literally walked on that ride before. Literally gone round. What I don't like actually is when you go up Peter Pan ride is you have this tiny little narrow corridor as you go up to the ride, which you're just like up against like a stone wall and like wood where you can just see like little holes like looking out into Fantasyland. But I've literally walked through there straight on the ride, so I would recommend doing those in the morning. Also Princess Pavilion I would recommend doing in the morning. It will be horrendously busy. within 20 minutes of Fantasyland opening, it can get up to an hour-and-a-half wait. The shortest queue I've ever done for Princess Pavilion is 2 families in front. That was it, and I literally, it was like 10 minutes, barely even 10 minutes, and that was on a Tuesday morning, and I went through and met Aurora, and then the longest I've ever queued is 2 hours. So I would recommend doing the busiest ones. Again, in Walt Disney Studios, Ratatouille is a very busy ride, so is Crush's Coaster. Both are fast. No, Crush's Coaster or Fast Pass? I don't... Oh god, I really should like look this up. Again, I'll leave that link down below for you. Ratatouille is definitely a Fast Pass ride. They also do single riders for Ratatouille, so if you are okay with your friends going separate, I would recommend either doing single riders, or if you can get a Fast Pass, do a Fast Pass. Otherwise the main queue can be quite long. I think we queued for about an hour for Ratatouille as well. So always do the busiest attractions in the morning if you can. Tip number 2, the special meet and greets. So in Disneyland Park, as well as Walt Disney Studios, they'll always have like a special meet and greet. Now, Walt Disney Studios, most of their meet and greets now are ticketed to a certain extent. So there's this, I think it's called Lineberty. Again, I'll leave you all information. I don't know too much about this because they've only really introduced it. I think it was there when I went in May, but we didn't really go in studios, or we didn't go to studios at all. And when I went in my previous trip the year before, as far as I'm aware, they didn't have this. So it's like this app where you'll go on the, I think, of the morning of, if not beforehand, and you'll book a time to do a certain meet and greet. So like Buzz, I know is that. I think Mickey in studios is that. The ones I know that are not are Goofy, and Chewbacca at the moment, he's not. And I do know they do a mini one in the morning, and I would presume at that time in the morning she is not a ticketed event. So you can go meet Minnie. Minnie's not really in the park. She's very rarely in interventions as well. Usually you'll see her in the hotel. So again, if you want to make the most of that early morning, most of the hotels from 8:30 will have meet and greets. New York, oh my blessed New York, how I miss you so. They used to have theirs from 8:30, so I met Minnie Mouse in my hotel. Newport Bay, they meet apparently by the gift shop. Disneyland Hotel, they usually meet either on the stairs, or they meet over by like where Inventions is, so on the 2nd floor I believe. Sequoia, they used to meet by the gift shop. I don't know if that's changed. It's been a while since I've stayed at Sequoia. And Santa Fe and Cheyenne. Santa Fe, it was 1999 when I stayed there, and Cheyenne I've never stayed at, so I wouldn't know. But when you read the brochure, they do say there's character meet and greets and all of them. What's worth doing is when you check into your hotel, it's always worth asking reception where the characters meet and what time they meet, and they'll tell you. Usually in the mornings they'll have a sign with the character's face and the time they're going to be there for, so then you can guarantee. We used to have a fun game with Hotel New York whenever we used to like leave breakfast to go to the parks. We used to be like, who do you reckon's going to be there today? And I was so ecstatic when I saw Minnie was there on my last day in May, because I was like, I've not met her yet. But they'll have special meet and greets in Disneyland Park. Again, they'll have Minnie in the morning, Scrooge McDuck they've had in the morning, Donald, Stitch. They're usually up at the top of the arcades on both sides of Main Street, and then also down by Casey's Corner where Central Plaza is, they'll have them there as well. None of the Disneyland Park ones are ticketed, so it's worth doing those. You'll get to meet characters who aren't necessarily there throughout the day, so it's worth doing those, or go down to Pavilion and do that. Mickey, as far as I'm aware, I don't think he's open in magic hours. I think he's only open from 10 o'clock. Again, I apologise if you hear noise. Number 3, go around the castle and the wishing well. So I never used to do this. I always used to be one of those mad people who ran to Pavilion. But on my second to last day in May, I actually had a panic attack while waiting for the park to open. So from 8 o'clock the park will open. You'll be able to go down to basically to where the castle is, and then you'll either wait by Fantasyland, or you know, in front of the castle, or you'll wait in Discoveryland. And then at 8:30 a cast member will remove the wire and you, or like the rope, and you can, well, basically rope drop, and then you can just run for your life. And people do run. I've vlogged my Pirate and Princess festival experience, and I'll leave that link down below for you. Although it is sped up, believe it or not, they are running in real life, and they just like charge down Pavilion. So they'll either run to Pavilion or to Peter Pan's flight. I say let them run. Let them get as far away as possible, and then you can just take your time. So I had a panic attack because it was just a little bit too overwhelming for me. It was a bit of a rough day anyway. So I kind of took some time out with my mum, and then we decided to go look around the castle, and we basically had the castle to ourselves. By the time we got to the top of the stairs, the people in front of us were going out on the balcony to go back down into Fantasyland, so we had the castle to ourselves, and we just took our time going around. It was early morning light, so we had like really cool stained glass window shots with like the light coming through. We could just listen to the music. Aurora is my favourite princess, and I love seeing Beauty's Castle in Disneyland Paris, so it was a really magical moment for me. And my mum loved it as well. We went on the balcony, and like I took photos of her, she took photos of me, we did like a little photo shoot, and then we decided to go down to the Snow White's Wishing Well, because in all the years we've been going to Disneyland Paris since 1999, we've never ever been down to the Wishing Well. So we decided to go down there, and again, there was no one there. There was literally no one there, so we just took photos again and just had like a really good time, and it was really nice. And then by the time we got into the parks, like most of the rides were empty, so we just kind of walked around, and I think like eventually we just decided to go and wait for our fast passes for Thunder Mountain, which is another top tip. I will get to that in a minute. So I would say definitely do the castle in the morning because there's no one there. So top tip number 4, again, is similar to number 3. It is great for photos. So on the Friday, like I said, I met Minnie Mouse, and we'd done everything we wanted to do. So we got into the park after 8:30. Everyone again was rushing for rides and for meet and greets, and we'd done everything, so we're like, do you know what, we're just gonna like take our time. So I ended up taking pictures of like the arcades, of Walt, of like City Hall, like the pagoda, like the castle shots of Main Street. Especially like if in the Magic House, I will say your best time to get your castle photos is between 8 and 8:30. So that awkward time where people are kind of slowly trickling into the park to wait for the actual Fantasyland and Discoveryland to open, that's your best time, I'd say, because that's when I did mine, and like there's no one there. So I would recommend, like, if you can get there just a little bit early, that's the time to do your castle photos, like with you actually in them. If you just want to do scenery photos, anytime after 8:30 is fine. I will say the ones where if you want you or your family or your loved ones or your friends in the photo, do that in the magic hours, because I guarantee you will not be able to do them later. I remember waiting for, on the Friday we were waiting for the Central Plaza Pirate and Princess show, and they kind of blocked off like crossing over to the castle, and there was just people in front of the rope, just like a group of them just jumping up and down, and they were all different people, like no one knew each other, but they were all trying to get their photos, and it's a little bit chaotic. So I'd say do them as early as you can, because you're going to get some really great photos, especially in the early light, except for one day where it's absolutely grey and horrible, but it is the best time to get your photos, whether it's and even like when the park opens at 9:30 to 10, Frontierland and Adventureland will open, and other parts of the studios. So in studios you can get pictures of like the different buildings, of like the little Hollywood Boulevard. Tower of Terror would be a really good photo op. Tram tours, their kind of sign, that's a really cool photo. Or if you want to get like the entrances for studios and the Disneyland Hotel, that's like worth doing in the Magic Hours as well. But Adventureland and Frontierland open from 8:30, so if you want from 9:30, so if you want to get some photos of those lands, it's the best time to do it as well. And then my top tip 5, that makes no sense. Top tip 5. My 5th top tip is queue for Thunder Mountain. So like I said, Frontierland and Adventureland will open from 9:30, ready for park opening at 10. At this point you'll usually see, well, I'd say around about 9 you'll usually see a crowd forming in front of Frontierland's gates, and they're the people who want to go to Thunder Mountain. It might be different once Phantom Manor opens, the queue might separate like that. But for right now it's Thunder Mountain, and so they won't open the official queue, but you'll see like a trickle of people, like a queue of them coming through Frontierland towards the entrance gates. You can jump in that queue, I've done that in the past. Sometimes you'll get a shorter wait time, so usually for Thunder Mountain it's about an hour and a half wait. Usually you'll only be like half an hour, 45 minutes. But what I really recommend is going to get a fast pass. There's never a queue for the fast passes. The fast passes start from 11 AM. Obviously the park opens at 10, you'll be able to get fast passes from 10 AM. Now you might be thinking, well, if I've got my fast pass for 11 and it's 10, what do I do? So what me and my mum did on one morning is we decided to go meet Baloo and King Louie. They met at 10:45, but we decided because it was such a lovely morning that we would just sit in the sunshine in the queue and wait for them. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but like this was Thursday morning, so this was after my panic attack. I really want to take it really easy, so we just decided to sit in the sunshine and wait for 2 of our favourite characters, and we ended up meeting them, and by the time our meet and greet was done, our fast pass was up. So it kind of worked out in that way. What I would recommend is if you want to go and do Pavilion, that's the time to do Pavilion, or Peter Pan, any of the rides you've missed. Also, It's a Small World opens at quarter to 10. So does Pinocchio, and potentially Snow White does. So if you want to go do those, I would recommend doing those as well. Or if you want to run off and do Pirates, because Pirates never usually has a huge wait time, I'd recommend doing that as well. So I would say do, unless you really want to do Thunder Mountain, that's the only time you can do it. I'd say get in a queue and do it that way. But if you can get a fast pass, I recommend getting a fast pass for 11 AM ready, and then you've got an hour to just kind of enjoy, especially if you haven't any breakfast. Have some breakfast, and that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that helps. I'm sorry that there's some knowledge that I'm not really sure on. Like I said, I'll leave as much link down below for you as I possibly can. The rides I can't really tell you because they do change a lot. There's a lot of closures at the moment and it's all higgledy-piggledy, and a lot of the shows are closed and the meet and greets change daily, and sometimes you don't even know, like the meet and greets that are there early in the morning on Main Street aren't actually usually on the program, so you don't know who you're going to meet. But thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you're going to Disneyland Paris, I hope you have an amazing time. My sister goes next week. Not that I'm bitter at all. But thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys again on Sunday. Thank you. Bye.